Welcome. Imagine you're running late for a job interview, and the one thing standing between you and making a great first impression is a tie, but you don't know how to tie one. I remember the very first time I had to wear a tie. It was for a job interview at this retail store when I was about 15 years old. Now, I didn't have the knowledge or the experience on how to tie one, so it kind of ended up looking a little bit like a mess. But with a little bit of practice and patience, I am now confident in being able to tie a tie within seconds. As a former visual merchandiser for H&M, I've had lots of practice. I've dressed up our male mannequins in formal attires. Please note that all of these looks have to be approved by a district manager, not to mention that I always got compliments when they were right next to the window. Today I'm going to be teaching you on how to tie a classic Windsor knot step by step so you'll never have to panic before an important event again. We'll start by discussing why knowing how to tie a tie is an important skill, go over the materials that we need, followed by a step-by-step guide on how to tie a Windsor knot, and finally I'll share some troubleshooting ideas so to make sure that the tie does look flawless. In job interviews, business meetings, and formal events, a well-tied can convey competence, confidence, and attention to detail. Studies show that the first impressions are formed within seconds, and a neatly tied tie can contribute to a polished yet professional appearance. Remember, events like weddings, funerals, and graduations often require a formal attire, and knowing how to dress appropriately can be a significant moment in our lives. Relying on someone to tie your tie can be a little bit frustrating, not to mention that mastering this skill will give you that self-sufficiency and the ability to dress well. Now that we went over the importance on why it's important to tie your own tie, let's get into the materials that we're going to need. First, we're going to need a colored shirt, collar, buttons, shirt. Secondly, a tie. Thirdly, a mirror. Now at this time, because I am using a camera, I'll be using the reflection of the camera as my mirror. And then lastly, if you wanted to, you can use a tie clip. Notice how mine is a handlebar mustache. Don't worry, yours doesn't have to be one. There are multiple of different tie clips. Let's get started. First, what we're going to do is we're going to lift the collar of our shirt. Then I'm going to be grabbing the tie, making sure that the back of the tie is facing the shirt. The wide end is going to be on my right-hand side while the narrow end is going to be on my left. Notice how I'm adjusting the narrow end of the tie to my midsection of my torso. Making sure that the wide end is a little bit past the zipper of my pants. Then we're going to be grabbing the wide end and then crossing it in front of the narrow end, making sure that the wide end is going to be on the left-hand side. So then that way, we're going to be moving it underneath the hole that we've created between the neck and the tie itself. At this time, you're going to be putting it down on the left-hand side because what we're going to do is we're going to grab the wide end and then wrapping it behind the narrow end. This is going to then give us the ability to create these two little hills that I'm going to mention because we're going to then grab the wide end and then shifting it or putting it down the hole that we've created between, once again, the tie and the neck. Notice these two little hills that I've created right here. We're going to hide those. You're going to grab the wide end once again. Notice how the back of the tie is going to be towards you, because we're going to then wrap those hills like so. And then at this point, you're going to grab, once again, the wide end, moving it up underneath the hole between the tie and the neck. This is then going to create this little rabbit hole right over here. On this rabbit hole, you're going to be putting the wide end of the tie in it. So down the rabbit hole it goes. And what I'm doing now is then I am adjusting the wide end. With my left hand side, I am my left hand, I am grabbing the narrow end. And then with my right hand, the knot itself. I'm now adjusting it so now it is close to my neck, followed by the narrow end. I'm going to be tugging it right behind the tie. Notice how there is a little strap there. That's so that the narrow end can be aligned to the wide end. And then lastly, I'm going to be moving our collar down. And if you wanted to, which is optional, grabbing the tie clip. Now, even if you follow these steps, sometimes things don't turn out quite right. So here's some troubleshooting tips and adjustments that you can do. If the tie is too short or too long, you can start over by adjusting the starting position. Remember, the narrow end will be starting on or ending on the midsection of the torso. Ensure that the knot is symmetrical and centered by using the lining and hiding the buttons of your collar shirt. Using a tie clip can be useful to maintain that alignment and stability. Now that we've gone through the process, let's quickly review of what we've covered today. Knowing how to tie a tie is an essential skill for professional and formal occasions and helping you make a great first impression and feel confident. Today we've covered why it's important, the materials needed, and step-by-step process and troubleshooting tips to make sure that your look is perfect. With a little bit of practice and you'll be able to tie a perfect Windsor knot with confidence. Next time you have an important event, you won't just look sharp, you'll feel prepared too.